Hello friends, I got a lot of comments on the last video where these girls were flying their Mini 4 Pro and I detected them with this drone tag. The drone tag rider, or friend finder as I like to call it, and it detects remote ID signals transmitted from drones. It must be picking up something else other than RID because the Mini 4 Pro doesn't emit RID unless a heavier battery is used. I didn't know the Mini 4 Pro sent out RID with the regular battery. I was under the mistaken impression it only activated with the extended battery. So if she's flying a Mini with RID on, then it has a Pro battery in it. It's the same with Mavic Minis. RID disabled when not using the extended battery. The only way to really know the answer for sure would be to open up a battery, and I'm not going to rip into my batteries. Another way to find out is if you have a remote ID receiver. Let's send it out to Ken in Memphis. First, the heavier battery. So of course that's going to send an RID signal when I arm it. There you go. I'll check on the drone tag app here. One detection today, and that is me, DJI Mini 4 Pro. It'll show my location. Yep, and that's where I am. Let's reset and try it with the light battery. There we go. And now to arm it with the lighter battery. Well, how about that? Put this on silent. Go to the drone tag app, and there I am. I didn't fly anywhere, so it doesn't show a flight path. Location. Yipper. By the way, this is still going and detecting a signal until you turn the drone off. The RID signal turns on when you arm it and off when you turn the drone off. Someone did mention the Neo, so let's make sure the Neo doesn't send an RID signal. Just turn this on. Okay. No remote ID transmitted by the Neo. What about the good old Phantom 4 Pro? I just turned on. Ah, music. Obviously, it's not going to activate remote ID because there's no remote ID module in here, but you can add one if you want. This one is from Roku. There's a link in the description if you want to get one of these. Plunk it down on top of here and turn it on. Ah, how about that? Got one detected. And yep, there we go. It's the Roku R111. It's that. Doesn't say what the drone is. You can put that information in the Roku app. And you can put anything you want in the Roku app. Here's what I put. Okay, this will be an interesting one. This is the original Avata with the goggles too. You have to hook up the goggles to your phone. You should be in compliance. And then the fun can begin. All right, so we're in compliance, but it's not detecting remote ID until I start it, I believe. Are you gonna make me fly in my little room here? All right, well, that's lovely. All right, it's still not detecting it, but it asked for it in the goggles. So even though you're required to hook up to be RID compliant with the original Avata through your phone, it's not actually sending out a signal, which is very surprising. And I've done all the firmware updates. Wow, that is a surprising result. I was not expecting that. If you've gotten different results with the original Avata, please let me know if you have any insight into this. But as far as I can tell, it is not transmitting remote ID, even though it requires you to be connected to your phone for remote ID. Okay, this is the one I'm very curious about. It's the Autel EVO Lite Plus, and it's actually one of my favorite drones. Just turn it on here and see if it's transmitting RID by default. Ah. So the drone tag did beep once. Let's check the drone tag app. It did beep, right? I thought so. So it beeped ever so briefly. Checking the detections. Only have the Roku. I know you can go in the settings. There it is, remote ID. It says it's broadcasting. Aircraft ID, flight purpose, unfilled. You can define the purpose of the flight. Well, let's do that. to spy on your daughter. Save. All right. And that'll be a message to our RID receiver. So that should do it. I'm going to have to arm it. Ugh. Okay. It is not. It is not transmitting.
Some of you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed the no GPS notification.
That is wild.
And knowing you'd call me out on that, I took the Evo outside, made sure the GPS was acquired, and still no RID was transmitting. Very interesting indeed.
So the Autel EVO Lite Plus appears to not be transmitting remote ID, although it is remote ID capable. Does that still make it compliant? As far as remote ID is concerned, it says it's broadcasting here. This drone tag rider is supposed to pick up all remote ID signals. There's a list of drones that have remote ID capabilities in the description. Just know that there are some changes coming from the FAA and the new administration that are going to affect the hobby directly. I can't speak to that right now, but just know it's not necessarily good. There's some good-ish, and then there's some terrifying, and I will let you know about that on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed. Now let's go back out to Memphis, where other me is about to fly the tallest building in Memphis that happens to be abandoned. And an amazing photographer named Walter Arnold had unique access to the inside, and I've been wanting to see what the inside looks like for years. So here's a little bit more of that. Enjoy.
At 430 feet, 100 North Main has been the tallest building in Memphis, Tennessee since its completion in 1965. Designed by architect Robert Lee Hall, the 37-story skyscraper once symbolized the city's mid-20th century aspirations, housing numerous legal and professional offices. The 38th floor was a revolving restaurant called the Top of the 100. Over the decades, the building's fortunes diminished. By 2012, only 30% of its offices were occupied. In 2013, it was sold for $5 million with plans to convert it into apartments and a hotel. However, these plans fell through, leading to its closure in 2014. By late 2015, structural issues, including falling concrete and broken elevators, led to it being condemned by Shelby County, and the building has remained vacant and fenced off since May of 2016. The interior of 100 North Main remains eerily frozen in time. Desks, chairs, and office equipment are still scattered throughout, as if awaiting the return of workers who never came back. This haunting preservation resulted from the abrupt evacuation during its last days of operation, leaving behind a poignant snapshot of a bygone era. In April of 2022, photographer Walter Arnold was granted special permission to enter the building. His camera captured long neglected offices and hallways, not seen by anyone in decades. He spent 2 full days inside what has essentially become an enormous time capsule. There's a link to Walter's Art of Abandonment website in the description if you'd like to see more of his work. Every time I'm in Memphis, I see this building standing there tall and sad, just calling out to me and my drone. The epilogue of 100 North Main has yet to be written, but it reflects the challenges and resilience of urban landscapes, symbolizing both the passage of time and the enduring potential for renewal. I do hope that the city finds a way to preserve this once beautiful part of Memphis history.
The reason why that footage looks so buttery smooth is because of camera butter and the filter I have on here. If you would like to win a set, just comment below, "Can you butter give me those filters?" and I'll pick a winner from those who commented. Thanks for watching and subscribing. If you're just watching without subscribing, that's fine too. My feelings aren't too hurt. Until next time, buh and bye. Let me, oh Jesus. It just took off. Just land. Scared the shit out of me.